No one orders me around.
An allied hero has been killed.
Finally. No one orders me around. What is it now? Tread lightly. No one orders me around. Speak, fool. No one orders me around. Speak, fool. What is it now? At last. Tread lightly. This is more like. What is it? At last. Tread lightly. Speak, fool. This is more like it. Tread lightly. I'll make sure you sigh. Speak, fool.
Our brethren's
Tread
town
lightly.
is under attack.
This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last. Frostborn hungers. No one orders me around. Speak, fool. What is it now? At last. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Frostborn hunger. No one orders me around.
Our brethren's town is under
This
attack.
is more like it. Speak, fool. Tread lightly. Speak, fool.
An allied hero has been
Frostborn
killed.
Double kill. No one orders me around.
An allied hero has been killed.
Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Fine. Frostborn hungers. At last. Speak, fool. Tread lightly. No one orders me around. What is it? Frostborn hungers. You will be endless tonight. Speak, fool. No one orders me around.
Our
Speak.
brethren's town is under attack.
What is it now? At last. For the Lich King. Speak, fool. Frostborn hungers.
Our
At
brethren's
last.
town is under attack.
Tread lightly.
Our forces are
What is
under
it
attack.
now? Tread lightly. No one orders me around. What is it now? Finally. Now, Frostborn. At last. For the Lich King. Frostborn hunger. At last. Glory to the Scourge. Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last. This is more like
Our brethren's town is under
glory to
attack.
the Scourge. At last. This is more like Frostborn hungers. No one orders me around. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Speak, fool. No one orders me around. At last. Frostborn hungers. Finally. This is more like it. What is it now? No one orders me around. Frostborn hunger. Speak, fool.
Our forces are under
Tread
attack.
lightly. No one orders me around. Finally. At last. Finally. At last. Finally. At last. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Speak, fool. No one orders me around. Finally. Speak, fool. Tread lightly. Frostborn hungers. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. This is more like it. Speak, fool. At last. Tread lightly. No one orders me to be hiding. Finally. What is it now? At last. Finally. This is more like it. Speak, fool. No one orders me around.
Our brethren's
Tread
town
lightly.
is under attack.
What is it now? Tread lightly. Finally. Now. For the Lich King. Come. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. This is more like
Our brethren's town is under attack.
Speak, fool. At last. This is more like it. What is it now? Frostmourne hungers. Tread lightly. Speak, fool. Tread lightly. What is it now? No one orders me around. Tread lightly. Speak, fool. What is it now? No one orders me around. What is it now? Tread lightly. At last. This is more like it. At last. What is it now? No one orders me around. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. Frost
Our brethren's
hungers.
town is under attack.
What is it now? This is
My hero has been killed. You will know endless torment.
finally. Frostmourne hungers. Tread lightly. No one is needed. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers.
Glory to the scourge.
Now, Frostmourne. At last. Finally. Tread lightly. Frostmourne hungers.
Our forces are under attack.
Speak, fool. What is it now? Finally. Tread lightly. Frostmourne hungers. Speak, fool. No one orders me around. What is it now? At last. Tread lightly. No one orders me around. Tread lightly. No one orders me around. Finally. Frostmourne hungers.
Glory to the scourge.
Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. At
Our brethren's
last.
town is under
For
attack.
the Lich King. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. At last. What is it now? Tread lightly. No one orders me around. Frostmourne hungers. Tread lightly. Finally. At last. No one orders me around. Speak, fool. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. This is
An
more
allied
like
hero.
it. Frostmourne
An
hungers.
allied hero.
For the Lich King.
Your pain shall be legendary.
Tread lightly. At last. This is more like it. At last. For the Lich King. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. At last. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Frostmourne hungers.
Our
What
brethren's
is it
town
now?
is under attack.
Finally. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers.
Glory to the scourge.
This is more like it. It pays so legendary. At last. Finally. Speak, fool. This is more like it. What is it now? Finally. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Speak, fool. This is more like it. Tread lightly. Finally. No one orders me around. At last.
Our
Speak,
brethren's
fool.
town is under attack.
No one orders me around. Frostborn hungers. Speak, fool. This is more like it. Finally. Tread lightly. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. At last. What is it now? This is more like it. I'll make sure you suffer. Speak, fool.
Our brethren's town is under attack.
Finally. No one. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. What is it now? Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Finally. No one orders me around. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. At last. Speak, fool. This is more like it.
Glory to the scourge.
Frostborn hungers.
Endless torment.
This is more like it. Finally. Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it.
Glory to the scourge.
At last. Frostborn hungers. At last. For the Lich King. Frostborn hungers. Finally.
Your manner.
This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more
Your
like it.
manner.
Frostborn hungers. At last. Frostborn hungers. Finally. This is more like it. Finally. At last.
Our brethren's town is
Frostborn
under attack.
hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Tread lightly. At last. Speak, fool.
Our brethren's town is under attack.
Tread lightly. Frostborn hungers. Speak, fool. No one orders me around. What is it now? This is more like it. Frostborn hungers.
Our
Tread
brethren's
lightly.
town is under attack.
At last.
Our forces are under attack.
Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. At last. Finally. This is more like it. At last.
Glory to the scourge. You will know endless torment. Glory to the scourge.
Finally. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Speak, fool. Frostborn hungers. What is it now? Finally.
I'll make sure you suffer.
This is more like it. Finally. No one orders me around. Tread lightly. At last.
Our brethren's town is under attack. More
What is it
gold
now?
is required.
Frostborn hungers. This is more like it.
More gold
No
is
one orders
required.
me around.
An allied hero
At
has
last. What is it now? Tread lightly. Speak, fool. Tread lightly. What is it now? No one orders me around. Speak, fool. This is
Double kill. An allied hero has been killed.
Finally.
An allied hero has been killed.
Lightly. No one orders me around. Speak, fool. What is it now? Tread lightly. At last. Finally. At last. Frostborn hungers. Finally. This is more like it. At last. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Finally.
Our forces are
At
under
last.
attack.
Frostborn hungers. At last.
Glory to the scourge. Your pain shall be legendary.
For the Lich King. This is more like it. At last. Frostborn hungers. No one orders me around. Finally. At last. This is more like it. Finally. Tread lightly. What is it now? Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it. No one orders me around. At last. Finally.
Our brethren's
Speak,
town is
fool.
under attack.
This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. At last. No one orders me around.
Your pain shall be legendary. You will know end this war. An allied hero. Your pain shall be legendary.
Finally. Tread lightly. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Finally. At last. This is more like it. Finally. Speak, fool. At last. What is it now? Tread lightly. This is more like it. No one orders me around. Frostborn hungers. At last.
Glory to the scourge.
This is more like it. At last. Frostborn hungers. At last. Finally.
Your mana
Tread
is
lightly.
depleted.
This is more like it. At last.
Our brethren's town is under
This
attack.
is more like it. At last. Finally. No one orders me. What is it? Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it. At last. Frostborn hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. At last. Speak, fool. Frostborn hungers. What is it now? Tread lightly. At last. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Finally. At last. Finally. Frostborn hungers. How much you suffer? Speak,
Our
fool.
brethren's town is under
This
attack.
is more like it. Finally. At last. Frostborn hungers. Finally. This is more like it. At last. Finally. Frostborn hungers. No one orders me around. At last. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. At last. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Speak, fool. Finally.
Our brethren's town is under
Frostborn
attack.
hungers. At last. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. At last. Tread lightly. What is it now? Finally. Tread lightly. At last. Finally. This is more like it. What is it now? Frostborn hungers.
Glory to the scourge. Our
Faithless
brethren's
coward.
town is under attack.
Finally. Speak, fool. This is more like it.
Double kill.
Finally.
Your pain shall be legendary.
Frostborn hungers. This is more like it.
Our brethren's town is under
Finally.
attack.
Tread lightly. Frostborn hungers.
Our
No one
forces
orders
are
me
under attack.
around. End this torment. For the Lich King. Tread lightly. Finally. At last. Speak, fool. No one orders me around. Tread lightly. No one orders me around. Faithless coward. Tread lightly. You will be endless torment. No one orders me around. This is more like it. Finally. Speak. At last. Finally. This is more like it. What is it now? Finally. This is more like it. Finally. At last. Finally. Frostborn hungers. This is more like it. Tread lightly. Frostborn hungers. What is it now? This is more like it. Frostborn hungers. Finally. Frostborn hungers. Speak, fool. At last. Frostborn hungers.
Your pain shall be legendary. I'll make sure you suffer.
This is more like it. For the Lich King. Tread lightly. At last.
Your pain shall be legendary. I'll make sure you suffer.
Finally. At last. Frostborn hungers. At last. Frostborn hungers. What is it now? This is more like it. No one orders me around. Frostborn hungers. Finally. At last. Finally. Speak, fool. Frostborn hungers. At last. This is more like it. Finally.
Glory to the scourge.
Double kill. What is it now? At last.
More
No one
gold
orders
is
me
required.
around. Speak, fool. What is it now? This is more like it. Finally. This is more like it. At last. Speak, fool. Frostborn hungers. Tread lightly. At last. Finally. At last.
Your pain shall be legendary.
What is it? Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Ah, at last. No one orders me around.
An allied hero has been killed.
Finally. No one orders me around.
Double kill.
No one orders me around. Speak, fool. Speak, fool. At last. At last. This is more like it. At last. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. No one will leave around. Now, Frostmourne. Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Speak, fool. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. No one will Frostmourne hungers. At last. This is more like it.
Glory to the Scourge. An allied hero has been
Frostmourne.
double kill. Glory to the Scourge. Triple kill.
What is it now?
Big coward.
Finally.
You will know endless torment.
This is more like it. Speak, fool. Tread lightly. No one orders me around.
I'm sure you suffer.
Finally. At last. Speak, fool.
Our forces are under attack.
Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. For the Lich King.
I'll make sure you suffer.
No one orders me around. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. At last. Now, Frostmourne.
Our brethren's
Finally.
town is under attack.
What is it? For the Lich King. Frostmourne. No one orders me around. Tread lightly.
An allied hero
No
has
one
been
orders
killed.
me around. Finally. At last. What is it now? Finally. Frostmourne hungers. Tread lightly. Finally. At last. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Frostmourne hungers. This is more like it. Finally. At last. This is more like it. Frostmourne hungers. Finally. This is more like it. No one orders me around. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Finally. At last. Finally. At last. What is it now? Finally.
Our brethren's town is under
Tread
attack.
lightly. Speak, fool. No one orders me around. Frostmourne hungers.
An allied hero has been killed.
Speak, fool. What is it now? This is more like it. Speak, fool. Frostmourne hungers. No one orders me around. At last.
An allied hero has been killed.
Speak, fool. Finally. No one orders me around. Frostmourne hunger. At last. What is it now? This is more like it. Tread lightly. Speak, fool. Finally. This is more like it. What is it now? Frostmourne hungers.
You will know endless torment.
Tread lightly. Now,
Your names are legendary.
for the Lich King. Now, Frostmourne.
Faithless coward.
This is more like it. For the Lich King.
Faithless coward. You will know endless torment.
For the Lich King.
Faithless coward.
Finally.
You will know endless torment.
Frostmourne hunger. At last. Finally. At last. Frostmourne hungers. At last. Speak, fool. This is more like it. Finally.
Our hero has been killed. An allied hero has been killed.
Let the
Double kill.
I do it. What you want? Let the who you wanna kill.